then you've got these bastards in government, excuse my language again, who are literally partying whilst they've got us locked in our houses. Our people were dying alone. They were dying alone on COVID wards. I'm not talking about people with COVID. I'm talking about just people that die every single day. People were dying alone. People were being forced to bury their loved ones with just a couple of people around them. The Queen was sitting on her own at her husband's funeral. My friend buried his father and there was no one there. You know, it's just... This was all happening while the Tories were having an ease up. Every Friday, they were having a... What did they call it? It was like Thirsty Fridays. Right? Seriously. This is what the Tories... Forget it, you know, tell you, Labour, Tory, same beast. I just find it remarkable. And the police, because they're a branch of the establishment, of course, they picked yesterday to issue the fines. And they've said, we can tell you that Boris Johnson isn't named on the fines, but we're not going to tell you who is named. So they fined these people, but they won't tell us who they are. Can you just wrap your head around this? It's so contrived. It's so bang out of order. I'm disgusted. I really am. I'm absolutely disgusted. Anyway, that wasn't even the rant. That was a warm-up. Let me get on to the rant. Oh, who's seen the headlines? Who has seen the headlines? Let me pull my screen up so I can share this nonsense with you. Hold on a minute. There we go. Let me just scroll down to the relevant bit. I despair. I actually despair. Here we go. Buckle up, people. There's a rant coming. Right, the headlines are that we've got Britain has got our first trans MP. Oh, joy. Oh, progressive. Oh, how woke and wonderful and PC and liberal and all that other crap that I reject with every fibre of my being. Everybody's celebrating today because the United Kingdom has got its first trans MP. I'm going to read you the statement issued. Let me just show you first of all. Give a bit more background in case you haven't heard about this. Scroll to the top. I'm not even going to read that because it's nonsense. But Jamie Wallace is the MP for Bridgend. 37, Jamie Wallace is the MP for Bridgend. Said it's time. It is time to reveal the following. This is a statement that he released. Now, I'm going to read you the statement then I'll throw my 10 pence worth in, as I'm sure you know. Here's the statement in full. Yesterday, the parliamentary party had a photo in the chamber and then we went for dinner together. It was nice, especially for those of us in the 2019 intake of MPs who haven't done anything like that before. It was lovely to speak to colleagues away from Parliament and I appreciated the occasion for a number of reasons. I had a lot of support from the whips since I was elected, not for the reasons you might think, but there's a lot that goes on in MPs' lives and the whips play an important well-being role as far as I have seen. They try their best to support and help MPs who are having a tough time. Well, they've certainly earned their keep with me. I'm trans, or to be more accurate, I want to be. I've been diagnosed with gender dysphoria and I've felt this way since I was a very young child. I had no intention of ever sharing this with you. I always imagined I would leave politics well before I ever said this out loud. There was a close call in April 2020 when someone blackmailed me, outed me to my father and sent photographs to other family members. He wanted 50 grand to keep quiet. The police were so supportive, so understanding, and on this occasion, the system worked. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 2 years and 9 months in prison. For a while, it seemed as though I would be able to get on with things and move on. Being an MP and hiding something like this was always going to be tough, but I arrogantly assumed I was up for it. Well, I'm not. A few months back, in September, I hooked up with someone who I met online, and when I chose to say no on the basis that he wouldn't wear a condom, he chose to rape me. I've not been myself since this incident, and I don't think I will ever recover. It's not something you ever forget, and it's not something you ever move on from. Since then, things have really taken a tumble. I am not okay. When I crashed my car on the 28th of November, I fled the scene. I did so because I was terrified. I have PTSD, and I honestly have no idea what I was doing, except I was overcome by an overwhelming sense of fear. I'm sorry that it appears I ran away, but this isn't how it happened in the moment. Tonight, I was reminded of the incredible support those you work with can provide. Also, I was reminded how important it is to be yourself. I have never lived my truth, and now I'm not sure how. Perhaps it starts with telling everyone. There you go, people. What you've all been missing, what your lives have all been lacking, is that statement. That statement that was released after a dinner and parliamentary drinks. And I believe that statement was issued at 3 a.m. Now, before I dissect, let me show you a picture of Britain's first trans MP, Jamie Willis. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Jamie Willis, or Wallace, I think, Wallace. And here's a picture of Jamie Wallace with Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who was very supportive, very supportive. Let me come back to those images. Let's just go through some of what we've just digested. First and foremost, I don't care, right? That's my first comment of the whole saga. My first comment is, I couldn't give a rat's behind, Jamie, whether you are trans, pans, I don't even know what most of it is. I don't care. And I think I speak for a lot of people there. I do believe I speak for a lot of people. I am not celebrating today that Britain has its first trans member of parliament, because frankly, I couldn't give a toss what this guy is, what he identifies as. I don't care. I do not care. Do you know what I care about? My country, my people, the policies that are affecting my country and my people, or the lack thereof. The fact that there are immigrants still flooding into this country illegally on dinghies, pouring onto our shores every single day of the week. The fact that fuel prices are so high that this year people are literally having to make the decision whether to turn their heating on or whether to buy food, right? Now, we have this every year. This year, it's going to be a lot worse. Fuel prices are through the roof. Our government are potentially going to lead us into World War III if they don't stay out of everyone else's business in the East. And meanwhile, this narcissist, this arrogant so-and-so thinks that this is the time to announce that he wants to be trans. Not that he is a trans, whatever that is. I don't even know what that means. He wants to be trans. I don't care what he wants. I don't know about anyone else. I couldn't care less. I don't care if he wants to be trans. I don't care if he wants to be Whitney Houston incarnate. I don't care. There's so much more going on in the world. So much going on in this country, right here in this country. Our people are being negatively affected by the draconian regime that we've lived under for the last 2 years. And now, because of our nations, our globalist leaders' interference in the East, now all of the knock-on effect of the operation that Putin is engaged in Ukraine, all of that is far more important than what this little twerp has to say about his gender. I don't care. I mean, can you imagine being this self-absorbed that you literally announce your gender? What even is that? What is that? Let me show you. Let me show you a little snip now of our Prime Minister. Just let this sink in. This is what's going on in the United Kingdom. This is what's going on in Parliament in the United Kingdom, right? Around the world, people must think that we have literally gone mad. No wonder the East didn't want the West advancing. This was the whole issue, right? Let's call this out for what it is. This is the whole issue with what's going on, the situation in the Ukraine, the operation in Ukraine. Putin told the West, stay out of the East. You've got no business in the East. Quite frankly, we don't want your lunacy. We don't want your woke PC garbage infiltrating the East. Stay away. Stay over in your crazed little western part of the world where you all identify as microwaves and postage stamps and nobody can say a bad word to each other, otherwise they all get done for hate speech. I mean, stay over there. Stay over there. We get 83 genders. Stay over there. Don't bother us. We don't want your Western values. We don't want any of it. Stay away from us. That is the crux of it. The people in the East, I can't even imagine what the Ukrainians are going to think when they get here. Seriously. We're bringing over all these Ukrainians. Can you imagine? I showed you guys a meme the other week. There was a little white fella in a classroom full of black kids, and it said, Ukrainian refugees first day in school in South East London. That is what it is. Reality check coming, people. Reality check. The West has gone completely nuts. We are insane. We are insane. And I'm supposed to care that we've got our first trans MP. This is what Boris had to say. This is what's being discussed in Parliament, in the House of Commons. This is what our Prime Minister is talking about in the Commons. Not the state of the country, not the illegal immigrants clambering onto our shores, not the million girls that are being gang raped by Muslims that have come over here, imported their religion, which says that white girls are fair game, right? None of that. No grooming gangs, no housing crisis, no fuel crisis, none of it. None of it. Not talking about that. They're talking about an MP declaring his gender. Here's our Prime Minister in action.
Prime Minister!
Mr. Speaker, the whole House will have read the statement today from my honourable friend, the member for Bridgend. And I know that the House stands with you and will give you the support that you need to live freely as yourself. Mr. Speaker.
The Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I start by joining the Prime Minister in his remarks in relation to the honourable member for Bridgend? Does the
Seriously, we are such a laughing stock. We really are such a complete and utter laughing stock. Like, we really are. I despair. So I showed you a picture of so here's this guy with Boris, right? And here he is with Priti Patel. And seriously, aside from the fact that you know my feelings on all of this, right? I don't even need to go into my feelings on all the trans movement and the LGBTQP plus and all that. You know my feelings on it. I'm not even going to go down that road because you know my feelings on it. I am a Christian. This is what I believe. This is what I believe. These are my beliefs. This is how I know what is right and what is wrong because it says so in here. That's what I believe. I don't need to even go into that. I don't even need to go into it. I'm not even going to go into it. I'm not going to. Because that isn't really the point. The point is, at a time when there is just so much that they could be discussing, there is so much that they could be focusing on, there are so many important issues to everyday real people, this is what the establishment are all jabbering about, fawning over this guy, congratulating him for his courage and his bravery. Have you ever heard the likes of it? His courage and his bravery. I'm sorry, but since when did it become an act of courage to declare one's gender? And in fact, he hasn't even said what his gender. He says he wants to be trans, right? Let me pull this back up. He's not even saying he is trans. Let me pull the article back up. I won't read you the statement again because I'm sure you enjoyed it the last time, but enough's enough. Here we go, look. I'm trans, or to be more accurate, I want to be. He wants to be trans. I don't care what you want. I don't care if you want to be a flipping unicorn. I don't care. Who cares? Why should people be talking about this? And let me show you the reaction. This is what annoys me with this stupid country. Absolutely. The people in charge here, the people in charge of this nation have turned it into a clown country. Our country has turned into a clown country. It really has. I mean, I am so flabbergasted at what this nation has become. We need a complete and utter overhaul of this nation, you know. Every single traditional value needs to be brought back in, otherwise this country is it's gone to the dogs already. God has lifted his hand from our nation because of degenerate filth like this. Let me read you some of these. Look, Boris Johnson here. Sharing this very intimate story would have taken an immense amount of courage. Thank you, Jamie Wallis MP, for your bravery, which will undoubtedly support others. The Conservative Party I lead will always give you and everyone else the love and support you need to be yourself. So there you go. Boris promising the new trans MP love and support. Johnny Mercer reckons all of the big arms. Don't really know how that's relevant, but there you go. Lord Bethel, very brave from Jamie Wallis MP. Who cannot feel sympathy and warmth after reading a story like this with another strong arm? Not really sure where that comes from. Michael Fabricant, obviously, Ukraine flag in the title. My colleague, Jamie Wallis, has made a very brave statement this morning. We're all very proud of Jamie and we're all here for him. For them. Sorry. Hate speech. My mistake. We are all very proud of Jamie and we are all here for them. You might be thinking, who's them? There was only one person there, but that's what Jamie is now, apparently. A them. A they. Crispin Blunt MP says, this is what personal courage and leadership looks like in politics. This is a hugely important moment for all trans people in the UK. Congratulations, Jamie Wallis. Oliver Dowden says, proud of my colleague, Jamie Wallis. As a Conservative family, we stand together and we will support you. I hope that your brave statement will help others. Brave, 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 courage, courage, courage. I don't know about you, but I thought bravery and courage was like serving one's nation. You know, an actual genuine act of courageousness. Not coming out at 3 a.m. and saying... let's just get to some of the details here. The guy is an elected official, right? He's an elected official. He has said that he is not okay. He crashed his car into a lamppost. He knocked out the electricity supply to a neighbouring village because he crashed his car into a lamppost, and he fled the scene. And he said that the reason he fled the scene is because he's got PTSD and he's not okay. Well, by my reckoning, he probably shouldn't be in a position of leadership. He probably shouldn't be holding a position of authority, whether he be duly elected or not. If you're not okay to the point where you flee the scene of a crime, because that's what that was, he was convicted, right? If you're not okay that you do that, you're probably not okay to be in the position where people have elected you to represent them, and you can't reasonably make decisions that keep you on the right side of the law because you've got PTSD. He reckons that he hooked up with a guy online for sex, which is just what I wanted to hear, right? Just what everybody wants to read about from their MP, is that they're hooking up with other men online for sex. I don't really care for that kind of information. It's not the kind of thing that I'm up for, you know? It's not the kind of thing I'm looking for, Jamie. Anyway, Jamie hooked up with a man online and he wanted to have sex with him, but the man says he wasn't going to wear a condom, so Jamie alleges that the man raped him. And this was a few weeks before he then crashed his car, and that was the reason he crashed his car, is because the guy he hooked up with for sex said he wouldn't wear a condom, raped Jamie, and then a few weeks later Jamie crashed his car into a lamppost and knocked out the electricity supply to a neighbouring village, and he ran away. But he didn't run away because he was running away, like he says in his statement. It might have looked like he was running away, but he wasn't running away. What he was doing was he was fleeing because he's not okay and he's got PTSD. Just going to throw it out there that all of these little snippets of information are not painting a very good picture here about the mental stability of this person. And I don't want to sound like I'm not deeply concerned. And let me be serious here. I have worked with countless rape victims. I have worked with countless grooming gang victims. I really have. And I've also worked with a good number of people who suffer from PTSD, including veterans. I am no stranger to how horrific some of these attacks are on their victims. Rape victims, grooming victims, and people that are suffering from PTSD. It's no fun. It's no good gig. And I know that. I've worked with I don't know whether he ever reported the rape that this man inflicted upon him, but I sincerely hope he did. Since I would expect members of Parliament to set an example for others, right? When it comes to such issues, they legislate against crimes like rape. So I would sincerely hope that when these statements are coming out saying that they were raped, that rape was reported. And I'm guessing, without being crude, that if the chap raped him and wasn't wearing any protection, which was what Jamie said were the circumstances around the rape, then they might even be able to find him using DNA, because we can work wonders with DNA these days. But all of this isn't painting a very, very good picture about Jamie's stability right now and the fact that he says he's not okay. Those were his words, not okay. Yet the government are all fawning over him and saying that this is absolutely wonderful. He's the first trans MP and he's brave and he's courageous and this is leadership. This is what leadership looks like. I don't know, people. Stick a fork in me, I am done. Seriously. Just, what has this world come to? What has this country descended into? It is saddening. It's devastating. For someone who dedicates their life to this country and this cause, this for me is a very, very sad day in British politics. It's a sad day in British politics when the rhetoric is dominated by an announcement, a 3 a.m. announcement by a guy who says he wants to be trans. Can you imagine if Enoch Powell were here, or Winston Churchill, or even Maggie Thatcher? Can you imagine? Can you imagine what their statement would have been today? I don't know. I think the world's gone mad. But the West and the United Kingdom, specifically, completely cuckoo, and God has lifted his hand from our nation because of this level of degeneracy and this lunacy. That's what's going on. Fawning over someone and calling them courageous and brave because they have declared themselves to not even be, they've said that they want to be a trans, is not the normal conduct of a government, let alone a conservative government. This is all happening, people. Let me just remind you, the dinghy people that have been flooding onto our shores in their tens of thousands, the grooming gangs that are literally torturing and raping our girls, this obsession with gender and trans and non-binary and all these different 83 genders. This is all happening under a Tory government. I don't even know what this country would look like under a Labour government. I do not know. But what I do know is this country has gone to the dogs. And I'm not afraid to say that I love my country and I love my people. But the people in charge of it, they have turned it into a clown country. It is time to get serious. And I know I make a lot of I crack a lot of jokes and I make a lot of jibes at people and all the rest of it. But it's time to get serious. This has gone too far. This has gone way too far. If anybody still backs Boris when he's standing there making statements like this, if anybody still backs the Tories when they're making stupid announcements and statements like this, if anybody genuinely backs these people after they put us on lockdown and then went out and had a knees up, I mean, this is not even just about whether the Queen sat alone at her husband's funeral, which I find grotesque enough. It's not even about that. It's about the fact that you and I, whether we like it or not, I didn't adhere to the lockdown wherever possible. I went and saw friends, I went and saw loved ones, I caught the vid, I dished it about, did all of that, lived my life, got on with it. But can I say that I rebelled against it entirely? Well, I couldn't. Because everything around me was closed. The pubs were closed, the restaurants were closed. I couldn't take my godchildren shopping. I couldn't live a normal life. So whether any of us had our own party, and let me tell you, I had parties, right? I had parties. I had a St. George's Day party. I had a VE Day party. Every single occasion you can imagine, we partied. Just to show our contempt for the regime. But even if you did that, it's not the point. These people inflicted this horrible situation upon us, and meanwhile they were having a knees up, and people seem to just casually forget about Partygate, and they'll forget about Partygate because the fines are issued on the same day that Prince Philip was remembered during a memorial service, and the next lot of fines, they are going to coincide with another major event. Mark my words. If they don't, I will eat that microphone live on air. The next lot of fines, if there even are any more fines, they are going to be dished out on a day when there is another significant event that covers the headlines. And we will not have any details about who has been fined. And we certainly won't be told that our Prime Minister has been fined because he gets away with murder. If you still support these people, then, frankly, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem. You might as well go down there with your immigrants welcome sign at Dover. Seriously, that's how I feel about people supporting the Tories, right? Doesn't matter whether it's Lib Dems, Labour, Tories, SNP, Sinn Féin, they are all cut from the same cloth. These people are treacherous. At least, the likes of the horrible Shinners and the SNP and Labour, at least they are open about it. Openly anti-British, right? At least. And they don't lie about it. The Conservatives pretend to be just that. They pretend to be conservative. What is conservative about everybody all standing up in Parliament celebrating the fact that this guy has come out and said he's trans? What is conservative about that? Nothing. Zero. And if you're still supporting this establishment, if you're still supporting this government, if you're still posting on your Twitter, hashtag I back Boris, Boris for PM, then you're part of the problem. Take your little made-up sign and go and stand down at Dover and tell the immigrants that they're welcome, because your Prime Minister isn't stopping them. He's not stopping them. Your leader, your great leader that they all fawn over, isn't stopping them. He's too caught up in the PC liberal agenda. And let me tell you, there is no chance hell will freeze over before the British Freedom Party shuffles 1 inch to the left on these issues. Shuffles 1 inch. I will never allow this party, whilst there is breath in my lungs, I will never allow this party to fall victim to this, not even victim, these people are embracing this woke culture, this PC garbage, this liberal agenda. This party will never, ever forsake our traditional Christian British values, and they go against everything that's been going on today. All of it. And so, realistically, I know I make a lot of jokes, but let's get serious for a moment. What is everybody doing? Is everybody still quite happy to just moan and have a little piss and whinge now and again about how bad the country is, but absolutely do nothing about it, right? Just sit there and have a whinge, but do nothing about it? Or are you going to actually get involved in a genuine, legitimate, real movement that will not buckle, come what may? I'm going to put you a link up now, and I mean it. I mean, I'm deadly serious. There's a join link. This is the only party, and I don't even really want to call out other parties, but I'm going to. For example, the party that I used to be involved with, Britain First, Civic Nationalists. I don't even understand what's going on there. All kinds of nonsense to try and appeal to the masses. Doesn't matter if you're brown, you're British. Doesn't matter what you identify as. If you're British, if you embrace these values, then you're British. I don't believe that. It's nonsense. Not having any of it. PA, Mark Collette, heard him in an interview saying about homosexuals and the fact that they should be allowed to do whatever they like and wouldn't condemn a paedophile. I heard all of this. I'm sorry. I don't understand. Well, I do understand. Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem with these parties. Same with For Britain, Anne-Marie Walters. The leader of For Britain was in Hyde Park heckling a Christian preacher. Let me tell you what the problem is with all of these parties. They do not have God. They do not have faith. I'm telling you now, whether you're a Christian or not, let me tell you, mark my words, without this party will go nowhere, right? This is what we attribute our success to. This party is 2 years old. We're heading into our 3rd year. We have already achieved more than so many movements that have come and gone because we have the Lord on our side and we keep on the side of the Lord. And that is a promise that I will make to you. There will be no relenting. There will be no shuffling. There will be no buckling under this pressure. Never will we succumb to this liberal agenda. Never will we embrace this. Never will I'd rather die, because God will not be mocked. God will not be mocked. And I'm not going to go against the Christian scriptures because it's trendy for me to celebrate someone coming out. I'm not ever going to involve this party, myself, or any of you. I have a responsibility as the leader of this party to represent you in a way that I think is dignified and is true to our nation and our traditions and our faith. And I would not be true to any of those if I embraced any of this crap, and I'm not going to, ever. So my plea to you now is this. If you are serious about this cause and you care about this cause, I get out of bed every day and live for this cause. I work every day of the week for this cause. I'm not complaining. I feel like I'm in a very privileged situation. God has placed me in a very strange situation. I'm embracing it. But I live and breathe this cause. I would like to think that people are dedicated to it. I really would sincerely like to think, especially the people that are watching this show, that you are dedicated to this cause. If you are, I'm not asking much of you, but I would like you to throw your weight behind this party. We are trying to get our party registered and we've been knocked back. Big surprise. Because we've already caused shockwaves in the electoral system. With our last few elections that we stood in, we caused a storm. So, I'm not asking everybody to bend over backwards. What I'm saying is, I'd like you to join this party. Show your commitment to this movement. Show your commitment to this cause. Show me that you are serious, that you're not going to follow these mamby-pamby weirdo parties. Join a credible movement, right? Here's my little screen here. This is our join screen. This is what you get in your membership pack. And the fee for joining, we charge an annual fee. I'll tell you why we charge an annual fee very quickly. Someone said to me once, can't you do it monthly? You do like £3 a month. We can't do it monthly because we give away so much in the pack. You get a there's our badge. I'll show you in a minute. You get a badge, you get a flag, you get a membership card, you get a big A3 Magna Carta, you get all of that literature we put in there, all of it. You get a whole extensive membership pack. So if I was to say, okay, we'll do some £3 a month jobby, because that's what it equates to. £3 a month, that's what that works out to if you buy a membership pack. If I was to say we'd do it at £3 a month, we'd have to cut all of that out, because if somebody paid £3 and then cut their membership off, we wouldn't be able to do it. Do you see what I mean? There's our badge. This is our badge this year. This was our first badge. Red one. Red, white and blue. There was our red one. And that was our one last year, our blue one. And this year is the white one. Like I say, I'm not asking much of people, but I do actually, I am asking this. I'm asking for a commitment that equates to £3 a month. We will send you a beautiful membership pack, but more importantly, you will be involved and committed to a movement full of people who are serious. Serious. We're not going to buckle. We're not going to waver. We're not going to fall for this nonsense. We're not going to start peddling any woke agenda. None of it. You will never hear us endorsing any of this, all these mad 83 different genders or this trans stuff or pushing for the LGBTQP plus or civic nationalism. You won't hear any of that from us because it is not consistent with traditional Christian British values, and that is what I live by. I'm not a saint. I'm a horrible, lowly sinner, right? We all are. None of us are perfect. But by goodness, we have got to try and at least follow a standard. We've been given a standard to follow. We're never, ever going to be able to live up to it. We know that. But we've been told what's right and wrong. And the Tories, the so-called Conservatives, finished. And I hope after today that the old gang Tories are really, really looking about and scratching about and thinking, where do we go? There is one show in town. And the British Freedom Party, within 2 years, has already achieved so much. Mark my words, we will be the only force that is willing to stand up against these people. And we will be the only force that doesn't shuffle to the left, doesn't move to this progressive agenda. So, there you go. I'm putting it out there. If you're serious, you want to be involved in a serious movement, come and join the British Freedom Party, and let's hold these people to account. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you. I've got this delivery coming within about 2 minutes to the office, so I need to fly. But listen, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. It's always a pleasure to speak to you all. And on Friday, I think I've got a guest on, so this is good. We like our guests. It's always good to get a guest on, get a different perspective on things. So everybody, please, yeah, Danny says the Conservatives. Yeah, exactly. Right, everybody, please share this video. Remember, we're banned from all the social media platforms because we're extremists. So we have to share our videos and let people know where we are. Everybody, please do try and join me on Friday at 7 p.m. on Purge TV, VKD Live and Brand YouTube. Until then, everybody, stay safe and stay sane. Reject the liberal nonsense. Reject the liberal agenda. Right? Reject all of it. Stay, just as Jim Dawson says on the Templar Show, stick close to God and you won't go far wrong. That has to be our motto. We have to stick with what we know is right. Whether you're Christian or not watching this, you know what's right and you know what's wrong. We need to stick with what we know is right. God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you, God willing, on Friday.